Wouldst thou like the taste of butter? A pretty dress? Wouldst thou like to live deliciously?
Yes.
I'm a sleepy boy today, Ralph. Why are you such a sleepy boy?
I didn't fall asleep till like, I'd say 1:45.
That's not unusual for you.
Yeah, that's actually kind of early for me, especially on a Friday. But I woke up at 4:30, and I've been up since, so I'm on like, between the last 2 days, like 6 hours of sleep. You know what my problem is with sleep right now, actually, besides my normal bullshit? I've obviously talked about this, but I saw Hereditary. And
yeah, you're all...
And dude, I obviously did a review on the website, and the movie is still, there's just some imagery in that movie that is entrenched in my mind in the most disturbing way possible.
You were texting me about it. I'm like, do I need to drive over and stay in the house with him?
I saw it on Wednesday with Grohow and Greg, and Greg also was home alone that night. The landlord was on a work trip, and so I had the house to myself, and Greg's roommate was staying at her boyfriend's. And in the middle of the movie, Greg and I like look at each other. I'm like, do we have to have a sleepover tonight? I can't tell you like just how fucked up this movie was, man. I do think as far as horror goes, it's like it's a landmark film. I know it's getting a lot of praise, but as a horror fan, to actually walk out of the movie
scared
with my head feeling kind of fucked up. And it's like, it's been 3 days, and it's finally coming down a little bit. But there's certain things in that movie that are so in my mind visually still that I don't know how long it's going to take for me to get it out of my head.
I hope you never become normal again. I hope you're just this like zombie who's thinking about the movie all the time. Never able to sleep alone.
Well, while we're in the subject of me being a little bitch, welcome to episode 8 of You Watch, I Listen. I can't believe we made 8 episodes already, and people actually kind of like us.
Wait, is this episode 9?
No, this is 8.
7?
8. 7 was last week. This is 8, stupid. I do all the graphics, so I know the numbers.
Yeah, but your accounting could use a little brushing up.
Everything could use a little brushing up. So again, episode 8, as we're just talking about, I did see Hereditary this week. There's a review on YouWatchIListen.com, a spoiler-free review as well. A bunch of people I know read it who didn't want to get spoiled. And they were
Hereditary dies in the end.
That Hereditary is not a person.
Hereditary...
It's not a person.
Hereditary is a monster.
No, nope.
Mr. Hereditary.
You don't have...
I don't know anything about this movie.
The thing that a lot of people saw...
I don't want to read the review because I was afraid there were spoilers.
No, it's spoiler-free. So the way I was describing it to people is that there is real-life horrific shit that happens, not like the horror that you're used to, like the
IRS
spinning
audits
heads.
her.
Tragedy, we'll say, like horrific shit. Like literally, it was 30 minutes of the movie. This event happens, and maybe 30-40 minutes. Me, Greg, and Grohow had our hands over our mouths, like our jaws dropped. Like, what the fuck did we just see?
I want to see kids scared. The three of you sitting there.
No, that's literally what it was. And the whole movie, me and Justin are just looking at each other. We're like, this is so fucked up. No, it was fucked up. And it goes from this real life horror, like truly, truly horrible shit, to bringing in a horror element. It's adding in an occult type thing to it. And it goes from disturbing to holy shit. And when it starts going, it doesn't stop. So, again, if you want to check out the spoiler-free review on YouWatchIListen.com, if you are a horror fan, I definitely recommend. It is worth all the praise it's getting, and if you don't get the movie, you're a jerk-off. So I don't know what else I have to say.
Well,
so,
why don't we use that just to jump in, because we do have a guest coming in.
Yeah, we have our guest,
a lot to do before he gets here.
I was going to say that. So now that, since I don't remember who went first last week, but
just
I figured...
let me go first.
Yeah, go for it. So last week, what movie did I give you?
You gave me Hereditary.
I gave you The Witch, which is from the same production company that picked up Hereditary, A24. Yep. As they seem to have a niche for these indie horror stuff. So
niche?
Niche. Yeah. So what did you think of The Witch?
Okay, so first off, I'm not a huge horror fan.
Yes.
I like horror, but I don't really...
You like particular horror. You like it a certain way.
Yeah, I guess that's a good way to put it. Like, I like It Follows. I like The Autopsy of Jane Doe.
Yeah, where it's kind of an original concept. And
they're not really horror movies, but I do like corny slasher movies. But
you like campiness in some, and you like
a lot of realism in others. Like,
yes.
there's no... in between. Like
Correct.
the Conjuring movies
doesn't do it for you. Don't
they're
like
horrible.
You don't like the. I love the Conjuring, but as a horror fan, I think they're for what they're trying to do. It's better than I like that more than shit like The Ring.
Conjuring,
but I get
laughed. I actually laughed during the movie. What's the other one that I really couldn't stand? Paranormal Activity.
Okay, yeah, so
I get it.
See, that was when I was talking about Hereditary. That's what Hereditary does not go for at all.
Yeah.
Like the cheap, the big sound. Although it's sprinkled in, it is not a crutch, which those movies use it as.
So The Witch. I like The Witch. It was different. It was unique. It's a pretty simple plot, which I did like. I like that
isolation.
I like that it had a very small cast. It was only the
cast was
the few
phenomenal.
couple kids, the parents, the teenage daughter who
she was in Split,
and then the mom who's also from Game of Thrones.
Yes.
So it was good. I enjoyed it. It's a horror movie, so I don't think there's a whole lot to say. I think if you like horror movies,
well, here's the thing.
I know where you're going.
It's a very divisive movie in the horror community.
That's the thing. I don't think it's a horror movie proper, but I think if you go in knowing very little about the movie, it's better.
Correct.
I think the more you know, I don't read anytime I get a movie. I don't read anything about it. I want to go in completely blind unless there's something, I just happen to know.
Exactly.
So, that being said, I enjoyed it. I think it's a unique movie. I think its pacing is perfect, but I understand why people hate that pacing.
Well, people can't, and it's the same thing I just said with Hereditary, is that they expect the cheap scares, and there's a couple sprinkled in, like the jump stuff, and those are my least favorite parts of The Witch. I think the things that make The Witch so good, I think first of all the setting and costume design.
What's going on? Did I knock something?
What do you mean? Did you knock?
Did you hear that feedback?
No, you're just on you because you probably moved something.
Oh, hold on one second. You keep going. I think there's feedback on my end.
Okay, yeah, I got nothing on my end. So the thing with The Witch specifically that I liked was that the setting and the costume design, everything. I thought that it made me feel like I was in that particular scenario. See, that's how you just did it, you dingus. And the one thing that I loved as well is specifically the dialogue.
The dialogue was great. I think it was I really did feel like I was in whatever, the 1640s or whenever it's supposed to take place. It
was hard to understand at times, but I
had to watch with the subtitles on.
I didn't use it. Well, I saw it in the theater, so there were no subtitles. I did watch it once with the subtitles. And again, I thought the cast, specifically the main girl,
she was great,
and the father I thought was powerful.
The father was great. The mother just completely going unhinged.
And
I think she actually was my favorite part because she was so hateable.
Correct,
but you couldn't really hate her because you understand why she's going crazy. All her kids are dying.
And I do think that particularly the last 30 minutes of that movie are very unsettling when you really start to see it unravel. And the Black Phillip, I think Black Phillip is badass when
he turns into the devil. They so easily could have fumbled that, and they didn't. I like that.
And some people didn't like the ending, but I'm like, I thought the ending made sense.
What she was supposed to do? Turn around and be like, I was the witch the whole time?
Exactly. So for me, that honestly is one of my favorite horror movies in a long time.
That's what I really liked about it. There wasn't you didn't
have to add in all these other side characters, things you didn't care about.
Because I watched it with the fiance, and
she texted me after she finished it last night.
We were talking, and throughout the movie, we had our theories. Like, I think the older daughter might be the witch. It might be the mom. And then about halfway through, I said, I'm going to be honest, I don't think any of them are. I think the movie is what it is.
Now, and if you read up into the way the guy wrote the film,
I was reading about it yesterday.
How much actually, that's what the movie again was. It felt authentic, and it didn't rely on CGI and it didn't rely on these dumb things. There was some incredible visuals in it. Specifically, like I think that it was filmed so beautifully.
Well, he did it with all natural light, which I liked. And it showed.
Yeah, exactly. So, what was your ranking system for this? Because I know you're giving it something different. Give it a slasher, like a famous.
No, I'm gonna give it a monster, like a Halloween monster.
Okay, which Halloween monster is it?
I think it'd be a werewolf.
A werewolf? Oh, so the Wolfman. The Wolfman.
No, a werewolf.
But the Wolfman.
No, Wolfman's
no.
a movie?
If you're, no, the Wolfman. No, there's a difference. The Wolfman is the monster. A werewolf is a monster.
Okay, then I'm doing werewolf.
Okay, the Wolfman. Universe.
I think I'd give it like A 3.
Yeah, no,
3 out of
it's
5.
It
was good.
Yeah, it's definitely again. I like when a horror movie is divisive because that tells me that only stupid people didn't get it. There was a quote from one of my favorite horror authors, Brian Keene. He's like, this movie is unsettling, it's unnerving, and 90% of the people that see it are going to be too stupid to understand what they just watched.
Yeah, I saw that the critics ranked it significally higher than the audience.
That's kind of what's happening with Hereditary too, because people don't know what to make of Hereditary.
I think the one scene I really liked, that was maybe the first or second scene where the baby goes missing, and then the next scene is just the witch, and you just see her like with a mortar, and there's just like this like bloody pulp. And I'm like, oh, okay, it's going to be one of these movies.
Exactly. It is a fucked up movie. But so I'm glad you like that.
Yeah,
so I'm going to jump into the album you gave me.
By the way, I didn't realize that the movie and the album would be so fitting together.
Yeah, that's why even the name of this episode, The Mantle of the Witch, worked really well.
Yeah.
So let me tell you. So this was Agalloch, The Mantle. I knew nothing about this band, just what you told me, pretty much. So I went in very dry. And I will start by saying this is normally not my kind of album. The kind of metal I like doesn't necessarily have these kind of vocals specifically, where the screaming is a little bit tougher to understand. Like I like
it's more shrieking.
Yeah, I would say that. So in some ways, this album was a little uneven for me because musically, the music on this album is why I couldn't give a single song less than a 3. Not a single song I gave less than a 3. The album overall I gave about a 3.5 out of 5. Specifically, the songs I loved was "I Am the Wooden Doors." I thought was fantastic, and "You Were But a Ghost in My Arms" were my 2 favorite songs. Musically, again, there was nothing I disliked about this album. From the guitars, the breakdowns, that folk sound specifically. The drummer is ridiculous. The whole band musically is incredible. And
I saw them live, and when you see them actually doing it in person, it's very, because it's not like Slipknot, which has all this.
Correct.
They just go up there. There's very little visuals, and it's very realistic to how it sounds on the album, which actually was more impressive to me.
Yeah, and I could totally see that as well. So there was one side of me that was trying to like tell my brain that I shouldn't like it because the vocals really didn't do much for me, but the music was at such a high level that I enjoyed it from start to finish. I reached out to one of my buddies, Jacob, who's a big metal fan, asked him about it. He's like, "No, dude, they're great." He actually, I forgot what the album was, but he told me about another one that's his favorite album by them, that I'm going to check out. But I got some like little insight from him just to see if I was getting the right thing. But again, I really enjoyed it, man. It was cool to hear music done at such a high level, structured so well. The breakdowns are so good. The instrumental stuff is really good too.
And here's the thing about the vocals, because I understand.
Yeah.
That kind of vocals, because it's not Cookie Monster growl.
No, correct.
It's a very... It's very buried. I kind of view it as the vocals are another instrument with this kind of album.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Where, they could be a little distracting if you're not into that, but I also couldn't see any other vocal style being with some of those songs. So, almost like a necessary evil if you're not into it.
That's totally fair.
I think it's a very tight album, too, which I like. I think you couldn't take a song out, you couldn't add a song. I think the 8 or 9 songs that are a part of this album are the only 8 or 9 that could go and build it.
Yeah, no, it was again, it was cool, like, because that's the kind of music, the kind of metal that I liked when I was younger, and I just grew apart from it. And the things that I used to like, I stopped liking, and this was really cool to like get back into it and realize how much I was enjoying just sitting back. I had trouble listening to it at my desk because it's one you needed 2 headphones for.
Yeah, it's stereoed out the ass.
Exactly, but in the car, driving with the window, that's one of my favorite things. If I can drive with my windows down on a nice day and enjoy an album, it does a lot for me. So a 3.5 out of 5 is pretty good. It's right up there with I like Baroness better personally, but this was really cool. I would love to see these guys live.
They don't exist anymore.
I know.
And they broke up with, they were like a cult band too, and they broke up with they just one day post on Facebook, "Hey, we're done."
It's weird, man. I guess it's better than releasing 4 bad albums and then saying you're done.
Their last album, I haven't heard it, but it's got reviews, so at that point I was kind of like, I don't even feel like bothering.
Yeah, no, I definitely really enjoyed that one, so I was very happy with that. But
I'm glad you liked it.
I actually wanted to talk about another recommendation you gave me last week. Shively Humperdinck.
Yes.
So I watched about 20 of the videos. So if you guys aren't familiar with Shively Humperdinck, it's also known on YouTube as Dream Chasm. And I actually tweeted to the account, and they started following us. But I was like, so I'm on like 15, and I still don't know what the fuck I'm watching, but I can't stop.
Exactly.
And he literally goes, "That's the point. Thanks for watching." And then I was like, "Okay." Well, the first thing it reminds me of, the videos are like a Tim and Eric sketch. Like, there's no sense to them. There's no logic. There's no reasoning.
The characters change. In one scene, the guy is like a grown up, and the next scene, he's a baby. No explanation.
I wrote down 3 of them specifically that I liked. Number 7. So again, this is Shively Humperdinck on YouTube. Number 7, Beached Boys. I was like, this is fucking weird, man. I'm like sitting at my desk on my phone, and I'm like trying to work at the same time. I'm like, what the fuck is this? Number 10, We Dance to Summon the Great Beast. Like, there's no actual true pacing to these things.
None.
It doesn't make any sense. And then 14, Party Kid Crew. It's just some real, like I said, it's very, very Tim and Eric-ish. So I'm assuming this guy is whoever he is.
He did make videos for Adult Swim, which are
so either.
But like after, like this isn't. They found him, I think.
So this was either before or after, specifically Tim and Eric, because one of them took inspiration from the other, because there's some real Tim and Eric shit in there. So again, that's Shively Humperdinck.
I just stumbled upon that one night, and I was like, "This is horrible. I can't stop watching." And for a week straight, I'm not kidding, I would watch at least 5 or 6 videos a day because I couldn't get them out of my head.
I'd have to see my actual psyche trying to watch like a string of those before I go to sleep, because some of them are like actually a little weird, and they kind of like if you listen to the audio, you're like, this is fucking with my head.
Everything's like voice tracked, but it's very high quality voice track.
Yeah, exactly.
But it'll be this high quality like original composition with this like nice voice tracking, and then it'll be like GIFs from like when the internet was in 1999. It makes no sense.
No, it doesn't. So again, that's Shively Humperdinck on YouTube. If you want to play along,
if one night, if it's a weekend and you're all fucked up, just watch.
Don't even do it like that. When you have people over and you like don't know what to put on, just go to YouTube and put it on. That is the best use of Shively Humperdinck.
I think that's a good way to put it. No introduction, just going.
So the next thing I want to get into, and this is something you and I discussed last week and we talked about, was we decided to listen to the Beatles. And I know some people aren't Beatles fans, but you're an asshole if you don't at least respect them. So we went back and listened to all the Beatles albums. They're 13 label, or I guess major records.
13. So they don't listen to the American ones.
Correct.
If you want to do this,
listen
the British
to the original
ones,
releases.
That's how it's supposed to be done. You're gonna miss a few like well-known songs because later in their career they wouldn't release singles on the album.
Yes.
So like you won't get like
we
Hey Jude won't be on
exactly.
Revolution, but you get what I'm saying.
So we ranked the 13, and for me this was pretty easy because I grew up on the Beatles. It was the first band I learned how to play any instrument, like covering their songs. My dad was a big Beatles fan. My mom was a big Beatles fan, so I was always listening to them. So this was pretty easy for me to do until I got to the maybe like 3rd or 4th album when they really started stereo mixing and you had to wear 2 headphones.
Yeah.
And then because sometimes you'll just be getting like John's voice and then the bass line.
That actually happened to me. I'm listening to Eleanor Rigby and I just hear dun.
That's all you get.
I'm like, is this a different mix of it?
There's actually a really good Thrice cover of Eleanor Rigby. If you've never heard it, you should
I've
check
heard.
it out.
I actually have heard it.
That's a pretty cool one. So let me ask you right off the bat, what was your least favorite?
Okay, and I think you and I are probably the same in this. Yellow Submarine.
Yellow Submarine, and I would tend to agree. I have very fond memories of the movie Yellow Submarine. I specifically remember dropping acid at a friend's house in 8th grade and watching Yellow Submarine. And it was an experience, and it made me grow fond of it. So, I want to preface by saying my least favorite Beatles albums I still like more than most other bands' worst albums.
Yeah, so I ranked all these albums compared to other Beatles albums.
Correct.
So, like, a 3 for the Beatles would be like a 7 out of 5 for any other band.
Now, the problem with Yellow Submarine is so much of it is just like an instrumental thing.
So, the 2 things that piss me off about Yellow Submarine is half the tracks are on other albums. I think Hello Goodbye, or no, I'm sorry. All You Need Is Love and Yellow Submarine. Those are 3-year-old songs at that point. And while I was listening to the albums, I actually was reading with them because I know the Beatles pretty well. My parents, like yours, big fans. So Yellow Submarine, apparently they just had a contract obligation and they just threw shit on it. So it's a Beatles album,
The
but
movie's really good, man. Especially if you're on some kind of psychedelic. Not that I do that anymore, but at the time it was fantastic.
I think everybody who gave it a good review was at the time. Too.
Yeah, I have not watched it since that psychedelic evening, and maybe there's a reason for that. So I want to go into what did you round out your so we got 13 out of the way. What was 10 through 12?
I just want to let you know the way I did it is I did it the way you do it.
Yeah, you told
me.
me.
I went every song and ranked it out of 5.
Yes.
Then I averaged it into a percentage.
And this is how you see. I didn't go that. You're the music guy here, so
Yeah.
I guess it makes sense you do that. So what rounded out? What was your number 12? And
so my number 12 with a 63 was "Please Please Me."
My number 12 was with the Beatles. That one is next to Yellow Submarine, my least favorite. But again, I still like it. What was your 11?
"Beatles for Sale" was 66.
Mine was also Beatles for Sale, 11.
"Beatles for Sale" is the only one. So while I'm going through it, you can see where there's different changes of
Correct.
where they change your style.
The sound and the style changes,
and typically, the first album of a stylistic change is the best. That's the way I found it. "Beatles for Sale" was the first time that they went into more mature music, and I think it didn't work.
I don't think they were ready. They were in between. Now, the
kind
one
of a
thing I would
boring
tell
album.
you on my 13 through 10, on my least favorite Beatles album, the one thing that I came away with the prevailing thought of is how underrated George Harrison was as a guitarist. And he didn't do anything crazy. He wasn't doing sweeps on guitars. He wasn't finger tapping. He was just a smooth, innovative guitarist specifically. When you hear what his sound was and how many bands in the next 5 years tried to mimic that sound but needed a plethora of effects.
He also, when you go to the solo albums, he had far and away the best solo album. All
absolutely.
Things Must Pass.
Absolutely. So my 11 was Beatles for Sale, and 10 was Please Please Me.
This is going to be my first shock.
Okay. At
The White Album.
At 10?
Hate the White.
See, that I don't necessarily understand, which we'll get to that. I'll tell you when
you get to your White Album,
Yeah,
I'll give you
tell
my problem with the White Album.
So number 10 was the White Album for
Number
you?
10 was
okay,
the
so
White
we'll get
Album.
into that.
And again, I did this a formula, so I actually didn't know what the rankings would be until I finished it.
Okay, so give me your we're going to do 9 through 6. What was your 9?
With the Beatles.
My number 9 was Magical Mystery Tour. I love Magical Mystery Tour, but when I was comparing it to other things here, it just did not click the same way. So mine, what'd you say yours was again? With the
Beatles.
With the Beatles, that's fair. Yeah, again, that was my next to Yellow Submarine, my least favorite.
This is where the drop off kind of ends, and then like all the others are kind of bunched together.
So what was your number 8?
My number 8 was A Hard Day's Night.
Okay, so my number 8 and is Let It Be. And if it was the Let It Be Naked, which they released in 2004, would probably be in my top 3 of Beatles albums.
I debated listening to Let It Be Naked, but I'm like, that's not
You
how
also,
we agreed
you
to do
also
it.
can't find it on Spotify or Apple Music.
It's on
Let It Be.
Spotify.
It's not on Apple Music, at least. Then if that was the one we were doing, that'd probably be in my top 3 because I think Let It Be, the raw cut, is so much better.
I don't know
than
if
the
it would be in
original.
my. It would definitely be higher rated. I don't know if I put it that high, but
Yeah.
it's definitely that's the Let It Be to listen to.
I think that it's crazy. Let It Be is their last album,
But it was recorded second to last.
Exactly. Abbey Road was recorded last. So what was your number 8?
Hard Day's Night.
Hard Day's Night. My number 7 was A Hard Day's Night. So we were pretty
My
close.
7
there.
was Let It Be.
Okay, so we were about on the same wavelength on that one.
And those were
And again,
1 percentages away. Let It Be, I had a 75. Hard Day's Night, I had a 74. So
we were close.
it could be the song swing.
And what was your number 6?
Magical Mystery Tour.
My number 6 was Help.
Magical Mystery Tour, by the way, tied with Let It Be. But at that point, I gave I also put like a little adjusters where if I think the product was better than the individual songs, I would give like a little bonus point here or there. So that's what pushed it ahead of Let It Be.
Yeah, for me it was Help, and I like Help, but I again at 6, it's not really a bad ranking. But when I get into my top 5, these are ones I can put on any time.
These are tough. This is where it gets tough.
And my number 5 that I started with was Rubber Soul. I love Rubber Soul. I think that was the real beginning of them changing the land. As much as they changed it when they came on the scene with Please Please Me, they completely rewrote it. Rewrote it when it came out with Rubber Soul.
Rubber Soul is so acoustic, and it's got you know how much I like that kind of folk
Yep.
rock. I loved Rubber Soul, and I didn't realize how much I loved Rubber Soul till I actually re-listened.
So what
to
was
it.
your number 5 then?
My number 5 was Sgt. Pepper's.
Sgt. Pepper's. Okay,
And Sgt. Pepper. I have a weird relationship with Sgt. Pepper's.
Well, I'll get to Sgt. Pepper's in a minute because mine's obviously higher. So then we'll talk about it there. What was your number 4?
Rubber Soul.
Rubber Soul. 4 was Revolver for me, and I like Revolver more than Rubber Soul. I think that's when they really rounded into that form they tried to capture on Rubber Soul. So Revolver at number 4 for me. And what was your 4 again?
Rubber
Soul. We swapped them 4 and 5. Number 3. I had Abbey Road, and I have a poster of Abbey Road right behind us. I love Abbey Road. I think it's weird because when you listen now, knowing that was actually the last album, you can kind of tell that they were starting to go in their own creative ways.
The thing with Abbey Road, that they weren't talking. They recorded in separate rooms, and the album is so tight, especially that medley at the end. Abbey Road, I love Abbey Road.
So what was your number 3?
This was the biggest surprise. Help.
Help? Okay, that is high.
I never thought of Help as one of my favorite Beatles albums till I actually went through and saw the quality of, Yesterday, the well-known ones, Help. And then you saw just
Yesterday is such a great song.
The filler songs
are killer.
They could have been hits on any other album. I was shocked how much I liked Help. I gave it a 78.
That Help is, I do like Help, even though it's at 6. Again, this is hard for me because I like all these. At number 2, I had Sgt. Pepper's, and I have great memories of Sgt. Pepper's. When we were freshmen in high school, I went to 2 different Beatles things in one year. This is like when I was on a full Beatles kick. I went to.
Did you see John?
No, I did not. I wish I saw him. I wish I got to meet him.
You kind of look like David Chapman.
David Chapman.
He's more likable though.
It's not saying much. So I went to. They did a thing at the high school. It was like a world famous Beatles cover band that played at the high school. Who they changed like their costumes.
Oh, I think I remember that.
That was Beatlemania. And then a few months later at the Meadowlands or at the Javits Center,
they did Peppers.
Beatle Fest. And this was when it's like a Beatles convention, and they had a Beatles battle of the bands. And the best band I saw, actually, it was 2 11-year-olds and a 6-year-old on drums who were awesome and hot. No, they were boys. It's okay. So
this is the reason why we will never make a profitable podcast.
Oh, whatever. If people can't understand that's a joke, that's their problem. But at number 2, like I said, Sgt. Pepper's. Again, I like the raw sound on it. I think how I said Rubber Soul started it. Revolver kind of rounded in form. I think Sgt. Pepper's really, really kicked it into gear.
Revolver, listening to Revolver and Sgt. Pepper, because those two kind of, I think you can link, because that, like you said, it begins... Correct. That Rubber Soul and Revolver are bridging the old Beatles and the new Beatles.
Yes.
Revolver, in every way, does what Sgt. Pepper's did and did it better.
I would agree with that completely. So what was your number 2?
Revolver.
Okay, so our top 5s are kind of close, but then when I get to my number 1, which is the White Album. So the things with the White Album that I love specifically is I think that's when each musician in the band, including Ringo, who I think gets a little too much flack sometimes, really kind of figured out exactly what they're good with, and their sound and their timing. So the White Album from start to finish, there's a couple songs that I could skip over, but it incorporated the sound of the young Beatles with the new evolved Beatles and meshed them into one in such a way that's exactly, when I think of the Beatles, I think of the sound on the White Album specifically.
Okay. So I have, by the way, my number 1's Abbey Road. I already explained it.
Yep.
I think Abbey Road, if I had to go to a desert island and bring 10 albums, Abbey Road would be the only Beatles album that I'd bring.
Fair.
I think it's... every song on there, you have the best of George Harrison, Here Comes the Sun, and Something. You have the best of John, She's So Heavy, which may be a top 5 Beatles song.
Absolutely.
And then McCartney's medley with those half-finished songs kind of bleeding into one another. And then the first hidden track, Her Majesty at the end.
It's weird because
I think it's quintessential.
My top 5 Beatles albums could be top 5 or top 10 albums in general for me. On the White Album, Helter Skelter, that is one of the first metal songs when you think about it in a lot of ways. What this sound, and also, thank you, Charlie.
The Mansons.
Yeah, exactly. Hello, Sharon Tate. But that to me, like I said, when I think of the Beatles, I think about what the White Album was sound-wise, bringing that young, happy-go-lucky sound to more of this edgy, experimental, and at times angry sound. Again, incorporating the two things that made the Beatles such a transcendent group and brought them into one.
So the problem
that does it.
The
for
problems
me.
I have with the White Album. A couple things. One, I think I've told you this. I think everyone.
Sure.
I'm not a fan of double albums to begin with.
Yeah.
I think double albums are too much material. I think my favorite double album might be Stadium Arcadia, which it's an okay album.
Honestly, my favorite one is 9 Inch Nails. Oh my god, I just forgot the name of the album.
Fragile?
No, the Fragile.
Yeah,
that's the double album. That's a great album.
It's too much. Even Baroness's double album, I'll listen to, because their double album is Green and Yellow.
Yeah.
I'll listen to Green one time and then Yellow another time. Like, I won't listen to the whole complete work. I find double albums in general tend to be way too much material. You don't build a cohesiveness, and there's no cohesiveness.
So for you on
to
a
the
double
White
album, it's not necessarily the music on the White Album, it's the flow of the White Album for you.
I also think there's a lot. I think if you cherry pick 12 great tracks off the White Album, you have a top 3 Beatles album.
Okay. If you cut it down to like a 12-track album.
That's the problem.
That might be
I'm
the
not
greatest.
doing my favorite tracks.
Yeah.
I'm just doing the whole thing.
Honestly, that greatest hits album they released when we were kids, Beatles 1 is fucking
Beatles 1 is where I kind of got started.
It's ridiculous how good it is.
The problem is, and it frustrated me because there are points where I was listening to the White Album and I'm like, how can you have Back in the USSR on the same album with Martha, My Dear, which I think is, and I get it's just a happy little pop song, but there's no uniting theme on the album.
So while I agree with that, I do think, but I kind of think that is the theme that they were showing. Literally, it was almost like the genesis of the Beatles by bringing in that.
See, I think it's the other part of it though. It's they were so fractured and they were doing their own things that Paul would bring his 5 songs, John would bring his 6 songs, Ringo would bring his 4 songs, and then Ringo would do one that they,
do you think Ringo? I do think Ringo gets too much shit. I think he's shit on.
He's okay. He's just there. One of his albums, I forget which one I listened to. I think it's just called Ringo. It's actually not that bad.
I'm sure he's not a bad drummer. He gets shit on.
He's okay.
Let's just listen to Lady Madonna and call it a day. It's Lady Madonna. So again, I do think I think Ringo is still the worst member of the Beatles, but George is definitely the most underrated. I think John's the most overrated. Well, and I like John.
I think there's a point where early on,
not as much as Mark David.
John wrote better songs because he had that raw,
correct
kind of let's break everything, like Twist and Shout. I think's phenomenal.
It's
where he's
great.
Screaming.
Even Birthday is great.
And then once they became more competent, John became more experimental, which isn't a bad thing.
Correct.
But he became less focused, where Paul actually became a composer, not a songwriter, a composer,
correct.
and that's where it changed.
But George, I think,
George had the biggest difference.
When I was younger, I didn't fully understand how good he was, because when I first started playing, you look for those like the riffs, like the heavy riffs on a guitar, and he never had to. But specifically,
he had very sleek riffs.
Exactly.
I think something might be one of, even though it's like this like mushy love song, I think it might be one of just the most perfect guitar songs ever written, just because of the overdubbing, the way that you have the stereo mix where it's going back and forth.
Yeah. Specifically, I remember the moment where I really started like listening to his guitar playing more. Is a guitarist I respect a lot, and he's widely considered one of the best. Eric Clapton said George is the best guitarist I've ever played with, and that's coming from Clapton, who he's played with.
Clapton owes George something. He stole his wife.
That's kind of true. What do you think George Harrison liked more, playing guitar or his cell phone?
He didn't actually die of brain cancer. It's not a lung cancer. I found that out.
But I was always under the impression it was something
right,
related
because
to.
there's always the jokes about it.
Well, I know that if you could look up, like,
it probably went to his brain.
He got one of the very first cell phones, and he apparently like brought it with him everywhere. Like, what did he do? Fall asleep with it, like just duct taped to his chest?
What did Jimmy? Jimmy had one of the meanest. Let's get him a hat with gutters. I remember I was driving. I went, "Oh, that's so cringy, but so great."
That's horrendous. So,
I got some real quick for you.
Go for it.
Give me an underrated, like, not Let It Be or something like that. Give me a Beatles song, a deep track that you really love, that kind of would never appear on a greatest hits album.
I don't know if how I said Let It Be Naked. I like Dig a Pony a lot.
Dig a Pony.
I think I like The Long and Winding Road a lot.
The Long and Winding Road on Naked is phenomenal. The one on the,
I actually think, and I like Let It Be, but the Let It Be Naked, the song,
stupid horns and harp. Paul hated it too. That actually was the driving force why Naked came out.
I would honestly probably say Dig a Pony. I think Let It Be does get shit on a little too much. I think it incorporated a lot, again, the maturity, where they were at maturity wise, despite hating each other.
And they're trying to go back to that sound that really is where they started.
I should recommend to you this week that Paul McCartney Really Is Dead documentary, the conspiracy documentary.
Oh, great. It's pro Paul is dead?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah,
it's super. If you're a Beatles fan, you'll appreciate like the things in the songs and like the album cover kind of things. Like, my favorite one is, I don't remember which album cover it is, but it's the one where Paul looks like he's in a suitcase, and if you lay it on its side, it looks like he's in a casket.
Oh, that's one of the The American one.
Yes, yeah.
Do you know the one where they're covered with the dead baby, like the dolls
Dead
and the
baby?
meat?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
My mom's cousin had a copy of that, and they just sold it at like a flea market.
And, what are they
It's
doing?
worth thousands.
So, the next thing I wanted to get into, so that was again our Beatle ranking. My number one was the White
Here, let's
Album.
go through them real quick. You
Yeah,
go.
so I'll go my 13 through 1. 13, Yellow Submarine. 12, With the Beatles. 11, Beatles for Sale. 10, Please Please Me. 9, Magical Mystery Tour. Where's my 8? I fucking can't find my 8. Let It Be was my 8. 7 was A Hard Day's Night. 6 was Help. 5, Rubber Soul. 4, Revolver. 3, Abbey Road. 2, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Heart Club Band. And 1, The White Album.
All right, mine's 13, Yellow Submarine. Please Please Me is number 12. Beatles for Sale, number 11. The White Album, The Big Shock, number 10. 9, With the Beatles. 8, A Hard Day's Night. 7, Let It Be. 6, Magical Mystery Tour. 5, Sgt. Pepper's and His Hearts and whatnot. 4, Rubber Soul. 3, Help. Oh, there's exclamation point. Help!
Help. Yeah.
2, Revolver. Number 1 and always number 1, Abbey Road.
And that's totally fair. So I actually had a lot of fun doing this.
I'm planning on writing up, because I actually
You're going to do a
wrote
write-up
notes,
about them.
on the website, not as detailed as my Yay review, but I'm going to do probably a two.
Which you can read his year review on youwatchilisten.com.
I'll do a 2-part, just kind of, my thoughts on each.
Yes,
I grew up with the Beatles, so that's probably going to be more personal.
Yeah,
than
I know
even
people
music.
that would say, "Oh, the Beatles." Someone goes to me, they were a boy band early on. I'm like, no, but at the time that was like death metal when they first came on the scene. They would say, "I want to hold your hand."
Look,
You might as well say, "I want to fuck your mouth."
If you say the Beatles suck,
You
need to present a lot of evidence.
It's not even that. If you say the Beatles suck, I don't want your evidence, because your musical opinion. You could say that you're not a fan. That's fine. But
no
saying
one's
they
ever
suck,
said the Beatles suck and presented me an argument where I go, okay, I get that.
Yeah, exactly. So again, I had a lot of fun doing this, going back to something that I grew up with, and I think we're gonna do it soon with Led Zeppelin, right?
Yeah, Zeppelin. We should do one of those. I think Zeppelin would be a good one.
The problem is I already know Zeppelin, like what my number one is, no matter what. But I'll like revisiting the other ones.
I actually did it a few years ago on my own, and that time I had a different number one. So I'm thinking maybe if I do it again, I'll surprise myself.
Yeah, it's possible. I haven't listened to the whole Led Zeppelin catalog in a while. So the next thing I want to get into while we're waiting for our guest, which I hope he did, because he worked. He was coming right from work. I really hope he didn't go home and just fall asleep.
There's a good chance he did.
If that happened, we'll just have to reschedule Manfro. But this him not showing up would be like peak Manfroism. So the next thing I did, it's a follow up from last week when I did movies you hate that everyone loves, and I did movies you love that people hate. And I got a bunch from people. A bunch of people said The Last Jedi and Solo. I got that from Mike White and Matt Forsythe both said they liked The Last Jedi. Matt said he liked Solo. So the thing with Solo, again, critics liked it, but fans just didn't go see it because of poor marketing. 2 people said Little Nicky, Dan Connor and Brandon Nichols. I like Little Nicky. It's like Sandler right at the end when I thought he was still funny. It's
Little Nicky's a rough one.
I don't know. There's some parts I like about it, but there's certain things in it I don't like. But it was when I was still thinking Sandler was funny. The next one I really agreed with was Drag Me to Hell. Sam Raimi. It's basically the sequel to the Evil Dead and Army of Darkness movies, like a loose sequel. People thought it was supposed to be scary, and just like any Sam Raimi movie, it's campy and it's goofy. It's supposed to be that way. So I don't understand exactly what everyone's problem is with Drag Me to Hell, but I think they were just expecting something else. So after Drag Me to Hell, the next one, I have 2 from Greg, and one of these I cannot fathom, because I remember this movie when I was young, and even then I thought it was dog shit. Was The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. That was terrible. No one, like Sean Connery, that was one of the reasons he stopped doing movies, was how bad that was. You retired possibly the best 007 from acting.
Wasn't he supposed to be Morpheus in
Matrix?
The Matrix, and he turned that down for the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
And Will Smith was supposed to be Neo, and he turned it down.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah, exactly.
I actually want to see that Matrix.
With Will Smith. He's welcome to Zion.
Wait, you know what? Let's just throw in Paul Giamatti too, because I feel like let's just round it all out.
He's Trinity. Fucking pig vomit.
We should do that's a game we should do one day. Alternative
casting with the Avengers.
With the Avengers, but we should do alternative casting.
I like that idea. Greg also put Hot Tub Time Machine too, which I also thought sucked. And I liked the first Hot Tub Time Machine. I didn't laugh at any point.
I don't hate it as much as everyone does, but I don't understand Greg's obsession.
No,
with that
it wasn't
movie.
that funny.
He puts it on every time.
So this was a very controversial one. This is from Kelly Dean / McLean / Your Husband Rue. The most recent Fantastic Four movie movie. It's the first person I heard that liked it. I
no.
didn't see it, but he said as a fan, he hated the original movies they made with Jessica Alba.
Those weren't particularly high watermarks.
But this was apparently. But the cast in this one was good, except it was apparently dog shit.
I actually saw half of this movie. One of the few superhero movies I've probably seen. You haven't. And it
looked bad.
It's bad.
They also gave me a couple others. Blade Trinity, which I hated. The third one with
I didn't see that
that
one.
one was terrible. John Carter, which was a huge box office bomb. Another person gave me The Grinch with Jim Carrey, which I hated.
I love The Grinch.
I hated the Jim Carrey. Why does it need to be a 2-hour movie?
I liked it.
But it's a 30-minute movie.
Who cares?
And it was annoying.
They did inspiration. They fleshed it out. I thought it was a fun little stupid Christmas movie.
The cartoon is one of maybe because the cartoon.
I hate the cartoon.
See, that doesn't make sense to me because how can you hate the cartoon when literally the movie takes
you know what I
all
realized?
the parts of the
I
cartoon?
don't like Christmas movies.
No, you're just you're a cunt and you're a Grinch is what you are.
I like the Grinch.
Yeah, but you don't like Christmas cartoons, but you like the shitty Jim Carrey one.
You know what I like?
No one talks about besides this.
What are you talking? They play it every fucking Christmas.
You see the cartoon more so.
Well, yeah. Okay, you see the cartoon more, but
You know
it's
who
not
did?
like
You know
this-
who did the voice of the Grinch on the cartoon?
George.
No, the
George
Frosted
Harrison.
Flakes guy. They're great. The guy that did Tony the Tiger. Don't ask me why.
What am I going to do with that information?
Do you like Frosted Flakes?
Not
I'm a
particularly.
fan. I also got someone put.
Remember the Cat in the Hat with Mike Myers?
Two people put that on here. The Cat in the Hat.
No.
I got that from Maureen and also Kelly Dean.
Ooh.
No, I would actually rather watch The Grinch.
The
than
Grinch
the Cat in the Hat
I get.
with
The
Mike
Cat in the Hat
Myers.
one's bad.
I got Street Fighter from Brandon Nichols with Jean-Claude Van Damme, which I didn't.
I had a Street Fighter movie.
You never saw the Street Fighter movie? It's so not the video game. And
It's not Mortal Kombat. Street Fighter.
Street Fighter, yeah.
I love Street Fighter.
And it was Raul Julia's last movie before he died. His kids wanted him to do the movie, and he played the main bad guy from the Street
M.
Fighter
Bison?
games. Yeah, that's who he was. So you should pull that one up.
I didn't know. Yeah,
It's not very good, but it's like it's 90s action bad.
I didn't even know this movie existed.
Exactly. It's like three ninjas escape from Mega Mountain. So the next ones I got Revenge of the Sith from Mike Z or Francesa. This one I hadn't seen. Green Zone with Matt Damon from Alex Boardman. One Allison gave me that I actually really like a lot with Keanu Reeves is Constantine. I thought Constantine was underrated.
I saw Constantine a long time ago. I remember I didn't hate it.
No, it was cool,
I remember
man.
it was just there.
Bill Stark gave me The Happening. I was like, he likes it ironically, asshole.
I know Bill. Bill doesn't do anything ironically.
Running Man from Mike Bassett. I was like, a lot of people like Running Man. I like Running Man. I love Arnold's like string of like questionable action movies.
I saw Running. Did I see Running Man?
You've seen Running Man, I promise you.
Yeah, I've seen Running Man.
So this one was interesting because these are movies a lot of people like, but this is from Ash Mayola, and she said that these are movies that all my girlfriends don't necessarily understand me liking. So I gave her an exception, because even The Landlord doesn't like a lot of these. Was Goodfellas, Casino, and Donnie Brasco. They're not necessarily movies made for females. So I gave her that one. I got Armageddon from Mike Esposito. I remember when Armageddon came out, I was visiting my grandmother in Florida, old Italian woman, and we went to like an IMAX, and she got out of the theater. She's like, I won't be able to hear for a week. That was the worst, most terrible movie. It was so loud.
I remember. So remember when you're a little kid and you don't know the difference between a good movie and a bad movie?
And you know Armageddon was the shit, dude.
I remember seeing Armageddon and going like, that really wasn't that good, was it?
Well, and it's also creepy, the parts where Ben Affleck is like walking animal crackers on Liv Tyler's titties while Steven Tyler's singing in the background. So he's trying to have sex with Steven Tyler's daughter while Steven Tyler... Yeah, it's
I do know that Mike Esposito,
he's your friend.
Lamichael Esposito. I know that he has been talking about Armageddon as an underrated movie.
Wait.
He brings it up quite frequently.
I'd actually rather watch Deep Impact. I prefer Deep Impact to Armageddon.
I don't think I saw it.
With Morgan Freeman as the black president.
Yeah, I didn't see that.
It was very unrealistic at the time.
Like Armageddon was?
I got Daredevil with Ben Affleck.
No.
One of the things that did make sense, and I have seen it, is the uncut version of Daredevil, where they made it more look like it kind of played like a Sin City kind of thing. It was more like a comic book.
Mm-hmm.
That was actually not bad. Overall, though, the movie is cast terribly. Ben Affleck was cast poorly. Jennifer Garner, why are we talking about Jennifer Garner so much on this show?
Her in Home Alone. If Jennifer Garner stars in Home Alone 5.
We almost went a week without Home Alone, and you just ruined it.
Because I love Home Alone.
I got Daredevil. This one I agree with from Maureen. Batman and Robin, we talked about it.
Batman and Robin's great.
It's fun. Tom Colicchio gave me Independence Day Resurgence, the second one.
Yeah, but
he's an asshole for giving me that one.
Tom, I love Tom. Tom has some of the most questionable tastes, but he also will stick by them. Like, you can't sway him.
That's how you got to do it. If you're going to commit, you commit.
Like, if he likes something, it could be one good review, and it'll be coming from Tom Colicchio down in Virginia.
I'm completely with you on that. I think when you do that, that's how you have to. And what else do I have? Dylan Kraft gave me Bruno. He actually liked it more than Borat. I liked Bruno. I did not like it as much as Borat.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Micah gave me a bunch of shitty ones followed by decent ones. Battle of Los Angeles was terrible. It was supposed to be, remember how excited Patrice O'Neal was for that?
It was supposed to be the better Independence Day.
Yeah, exactly, because Independence Day, once they destroy the city, it really shits the bed. I thought Battle of Los Angeles, I was pumped for it. I hated it. It was a clunky fuck of a movie, very predictable. It was giving me a headache. It was filmed terribly. It's a poorly cinematographed. That's cinematographized film. I don't even think that's a word. He gave me the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake, which actually was pretty well received.
I saw that
with Jessica Biel
on cable.
It's not bad.
I saw it on I didn't see it in the form you're supposed. I remember I liked it.
It's not bad. It's just the original is still so good that it's hard to really remake that. The original still holds up and it's still kind of disturbing. And then he also gave me Matrix Revolutions, which I actually kind of agree with. The third Matrix I think is way better than the second one.
I've never seen the other two Matrixes.
So Reload, I think they get a little too much shit, but compared to the first one, they're garbage.
Which is I saw part of one. Which is the one where they're on the highway and he's jumping up.
That's the second one. That's Reloaded.
Yeah, I saw part of that one. I didn't like it.
The third one is completely different. There's not much of that kind of fighting. It actually most of the action takes place in Zion with the machine. So it kind of changed up the formula, which I liked.
Do you remember the Matrix online game? They had a Matrix like EverQuest.
Ralph, I had all the Matrix games.
Oh, God.
I had Enter the Matrix. I had that was one where you played as Jada Pinkett Smith, and I also had the Path of Neo. I
really wish you would go into the Matrix or leave the Matrix. Just go away.
just go. Just you want me to unplug from the Matrix?
Yeah, whatever. However the Matrix works.
Taylor also gave me Blade Trinity, which again I disagree with, especially since the first two Blades are. Some of my favorite
Blade 2
movies.
is awesome.
And then he gave me this one. I actually agree with as well. Jason X. I like Jason X.
I love all the Jason.
They're fun. They're kind of supposed to be bad.
Where else were you gonna go? He already took New York. So.
Exactly. He took Manhattan. That's actually not a bad remake. That's one I'll put on here for myself. I thought
I love Jason X.
I thought the Friday the 13th remake was really good. Actually,
I didn't see it.
Dude. You know what they did is they took the elements of the very first three Friday the 13th. They took they put the mom in the beginning, like the opening credits, and then they mentioned like the duffel bag or the potato sack on his head.
the potato sack one is so fun.
No, I'm telling you, watch the remake, man. The remake's actually pretty good.
I'm talking about the actual one where there's something missing with a guy running around with a potato sack on his head the whole movie.
It's absurd. And then the last two I have are from Drea, which I'm going to completely disagree with her on one and very much agree with her on the other. She gave me Suicide Squad, which was a piece of shit. Piece of shit.
Awful.
And no one can ever tell me that it was good.
No redeeming qualities.
Actually, as much as I don't like him, Will Smith wasn't bad in it, and Viola Davis was good. I like Margot Robbie, and I hated her.
She was terrible. Jared Leto, I don't care what anyone says. Worst Joker.
It's not even close about him being the worst Joker. He tried making the Joker Tony Montana.
He somehow tried to do a completely different and ended up giving just the most he did everything differently and just gave a generic Joker somehow. I don't know how.
You know what he was before the Joker became like the hot costume, when people would make their own Joker costumes and try to make it different. Or if like you saw like the Off Batman series. And
do you know what it reminds me of? You know how like there'll be those things on Facebook? It'll be like, this artist redesigned the Disney princesses to look goth. That's what it looks like.
Yeah, that's literally what it was. And the other one Dre gave me that I actually do like a lot was Get Him to the Greek. Get Him to the Greek is great. There are people that don't like it. Like I know the landlord doesn't like it.
Oh.
She has a very poor sense of humor.
The scene with Diddy's phenomenal when he's rubbing
oh my god, when he's rubbing the
Jeffrey.
The Jeffrey. I really hope the landlord commits and she tells me she only listened to like half the show because I just ripped on her sense of humor with movies, but we have different tastes. I like really dumb comedy sometimes. So, but Get Him to the Greek, I thought was funny.
I have different tastes. I like good things.
Well, you have good. She likes bad things. Yeah, we're smart and
like me.
We're gonna get evicted. So, those are just. Do you have any movies that you love that everyone else seems to hate?
Okay, I got some. Some I think you're gonna agree with. I think some you're gonna rip me up upon. But
okay,
I guess
let me hear.
Point of this. 5-Year Engagement.
I didn't see 5-Year Engagement. That's with Jason Segel
and
Isla Fisher.
No,
or Amy Adams.
Emily Blunt.
Oh, it's Emily Blunt in that.
Blunt.
Whatever. Tomato, tomato.
It got good reviews, but it was a
chick flick.
Yeah, it's a chick flick. I thought it was actually really funny. I enjoyed it much more than I thought I would.
I don't always hate chick flicks. There's some I like.
Yeah, but it's very chick flicky.
Well, okay. I mean, but still, there's some that can be decent. What else you got?
Butterfly Effect. I actually thought the Butterfly Effect was great.
So, a thing with the Butterfly Effect, when it came out, I loved it. I don't think it aged particularly well. And then I think the other thing that ruined it for me was I watched all the alternate endings, and they suck so bad, and that's more in my head. But there are some really cool things.
I thought Ashton Kutcher put on a really good performance.
He was good in it, yeah.
Like did
you ever watch the alternate endings?
No.
The one where the one that was controversial is he goes back to when his mother's giving birth to him, and he chokes himself with his own umbilical cord.
Oh, that's edgy.
Yeah, exactly.
Is he the witch?
Yeah, dude. It was one of the dumbest endings ever. What else do you got?
I have Batman vs Superman.
I would say that I would put that on there. I liked it.
It's not a good movie, but it's enjoyable.
Yeah,
I enjoy the movie.
I think the things I don't like about it are what kill it for me. Like, I hated Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor. I thought he was terrible.
Yeah.
And he was trying to be the Heath Ledger Joker as fucking Lex Luthor, a suave billionaire.
I'll tell you this. His take of Lex Luthor was better than Jared Leto's take of the Joker.
Yes, I would agree with that.
I don't know if that really...
And I also hated Doomsday in Batman vs. Superman.
I like that Doomsday was in it. I just didn't like the way they did Doomsday.
That was like when they did Bane and Batman and Robin. That's literally the equivalent of it.
Because Doomsday, it's one of the few comics I actually have read. It's a Doomsday, Superman's dead. So I was kind of excited, but...
And they didn't do it right.
I was happy to see Doomsday, that's all.
What else do you have?
Spider-Man, the one with Andrew Garfield.
The first one.
That's my definitive Spider-Man, if you ask me. I love that one.
I agreed until I saw Homecoming. I haven't
seen Homecoming.
I loved the Andrew Garfield one, the first one with Emma Stone was in it.
I didn't see
Dennis
the second
Leary. I thought that was great.
It was a little corny, but it was...
The second one is terrible.
I heard that it's bad.
Terrible. It's worse than Spider-Man 3. And Spider-Man 3 was really bad. What else? You have anything else?
Okay, I got two more. This one, have you seen Up in the Air?
Yeah, it was...
See, that's the thing.
Maybe it got really hyped for me. It came off like Oscar bait to me.
It's very Oscar bait, but I think it's good Oscar bait. I really like the movie a lot.
That was like Anna Kendrick's like one of her big breakthroughs.
Anna Kendrick's in it. George Clooney. I'm a big George Clooney fan. I'm the way with George Clooney the way you are with Tom Cruise, where like
you'd like any movie he's in. Although I don't really like the Ocean's movies much.
They're all right. They're what they are.
So do you have anything else, or those?
And then here's the final one. The Mario Brothers movie.
Oh, I love that too.
You
Are
do?
you kidding? Yeah. Why not?
Thank God. I thought
we grew up with it. No, dude. It's by no means is it good, but it's fun.
I love it.
It has nothing to do with the games.
I randomly saw it on like USA or something a few years ago, and I was so happy.
So let me think of ones off. So I like the Friday the 13th remake. This is kind of a weird one. It's a Nicolas Cage movie from recently called Knowing. From 2000.
I know the name. I don't know anything about it.
It's not great, but there is some shit in it that I think is just fantastic.
Wait, is that the one? No, I'm confused with another movie.
No, it's pretty cool Knowing. Like I said, it's a little goofy. It's a Nick Cage movie. Like, you know what you're getting.
The bees.
Yeah, not the bees, not the Wicker Man. I would never put Wicker Man.
Is so
the
bad.
Wicker Man is horrendous. Let me think of other ones that
you didn't prep for your own bit.
No, you know what? I had a bunch in my head, and now they've left me. 28 Weeks Later got shit on. I like 28 Weeks Later. I thought that was a very good sequel. Specifically, I like Mortal Kombat a lot. I could watch Mortal Kombat Oh, here's one: Dante's Peak. And Volcano. I love both of those movies. Dude, Dante's Peak is great with Pierce Brosnan. It's fucking fantastic. Have you ever actually seen it? I like a good disaster movie. I like a good disaster movie because there's nothing good about them.
I haven't seen it, but you didn't exactly sell me.
So
this is all I know. Volcano, Pierce Brosnan, and it's not that bad.
No, okay, so Volcano in L.A. is terrible. That one is really bad. That has like
how's Volcano in L.A.
with Tommy Lee Jones and Anne Hesh. Where a volcano erupts in the middle of Los Angeles, and they create traffic barriers to divert the lava.
So you have to understand.
Don Cheadle's in it also.
We have scientists that all they do is track seismic activity.
Correct.
They know when things are going to explode, or at least understand. a volcano wouldn't just randomly appear undetected under LA.
So the only basis of it is there is a hot spring in Los Angeles, and a hot spring technically is a volcano, but they would be able to pick up on the seismic activity.
A hot spring doesn't become a volcano overnight.
There's some scenes. There's a scene in Volcano that makes me laugh so hard, and it's they're in the subway in LA gets like shut down because of the lava, and then the workers are trying to save people that are stuck on them, and this guy's carrying someone, and he goes to jump out of the train like over the lava, but he lands in the lava and he melts like in Terminator 2 with the thumbs up into the lava, just screaming.
You are aware that when you jump into lava, you don't sink and burn.
I'm aware.
You boil and then you pop.
Yeah, exactly. But this one, he sunk like Terminator 2 with the T101. Dante's Peak though is much cooler. That's more like a Mount St. It's kind of loosely based on Mount St. Helens.
Yeah.
There's some really cool shit.
I was actually a little. So I was reading about Mount St. Helens, and that's all I have.
Well, so I gave you a bunch now. How was your birthday, Ralph?
My birthday was I can't really talk about it on air because it does have to do with my job, but I had a very unique birthday. Let me just put it that way.
Okay.
I kind of forgot it was my birthday halfway through the day.
Oh, I knew what you were doing. Yeah.
And I had so much going on that I didn't really get to enjoy it, but I do have a little get-together.
Yes, we're going to have a nice little get-together. And I'm actually going to assume now that our guest fell asleep, which I can't fault him. If he just worked a 12-hour shift.
Wait, did we get our first blow?
Yeah, we got blown off. And if it was
we have to play music for this.
Yeah, you need.
When I go in post,
I think I should just send you some sound clips I have a Man Pro and just dub them in.
How much of it do I need to edit out?
We'll have Man Pro on soon. If he's that tired, I get it.
He's a sleepy boy.
He's a sleepy little boy. I'm sleepy too. So I'm trying to think. Do we have anything? I actually have a couple things. So E3 was this week.
Yeah.
Big video game thing. Now, I don't keep up with I don't play video games like I used to. I really just play sports games.
I used to get pumped for E3.
I did too. Especially when I worked at Best Buy, it was very easy to do. But there were a couple things that so I don't have a Nintendo Switch, but I did see the new Super Smash Brothers.
I kind of want to Switch.
I know, because you know what the thing with something like Super Smash, it's such a fun multiplayer game. Like when your friends are over, it's so worth it.
And I think it's cool that what they do with them is that they give fans what they want.
Correct.
They don't go, well, we believe. They're like, you want this character? Fine. Well, fucking
you want a
fun?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, just do it.
And then when they release the DLC, it's always a fun. They put like the alien and they put a xenomorph and Predator in it not that long ago.
What?
Yeah, I swear to God.
No.
Yeah, I swear. Isn't that great?
That's awesome.
Sorry, maybe that was a different fighting game. I got confused for a second.
Holy shit! You just had my hopes build up, and then you shit on them.
That's what I do. Everyone in my life. So what else do I have? Kingdom Hearts 3, I know a lot of people are excited for. It's been a long time since the Kingdom Hearts game.
I'll tell you this, Kingdom Hearts, I don't particularly like it, but I do think it's a cool idea that they did originally.
Yeah,
like
I agree with
a
that.
Disney game, and you're like, but like a cool Disney game.
Exactly. Other ones that I'm excited for, the new Wolfenstein.
Wolfenstein.
Did you play the most recent one?
I didn't, but I'll tell you why.
Do you know people were upset about it because they're making a game about killing Nazis?
Yeah.
Yes, we've been making things about killing Nazis.
Every Wolfenstein, you kill Nazis.
Wolfenstein's been around since the early 90s, and it was killing Nazis then.
I'll tell you why I didn't play that one, because I actually had a chance to play that one. I had that and Doom. Remember the new Doom?
Yeah, I remember.
And I chose Doom, and the reason why is because when I think of Wolfenstein, I think of the Wolfenstein with the grainy bits.
Yeah.
And
that's what's that Doom too? That's
but Doom had a. I'll tell you why. Well, Doom had a better.
Wolfenstein wasn't a first-person shooter when it first came out. It was a side-scroller. The original Wolfenstein.
Really?
Yeah, the original Wolfenstein. Same thing as Castlevania.
The Wolfenstein I'm fucking talking about.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
But then Doom also had more. Like Doom 3 was good.
I love
They had
Doom
64. Like they actually had games there. That Wolfenstein had one game, went away, and then kind of came back.
The most recent one, dude. If you can, I bought it on a PlayStation sale for like $10. And first off, the story is hilarious. There's a specific scene where Hitler is trying to cast you in his movie, and you're in a room with Hitler, and he's senile, and he just starts pissing on the floor. It's so goddamn funny.
Wait, you just casually dropped that you have old Hitler pissing on the floor, casting a movie.
Yes. He's casting a
I
movie.
might be in. I might have.
But the thing that's great about the game, it is the best guns I've used in a first-person shooter ever. I'm telling you, get it. It's a fucking fun game.
Maybe I'll
and
give
if
it
you're
a
one of
shot.
those jerk-offs that is upset because they're killing Nazis, you can stop listening to my fucking show.
Well, you know what it is? I think
It's a fucking video game. Grow
first
up.
of all the Wolfensteins, all you do is kill Nazis.
From the beginning, you weren't offended about it when it was on Super Nintendo, you fucking
like,
asshole.
People are going, like, I guess people are assuming it's a social justice warrior. Social justice warriorism
killing
doesn't apply to Nazis.
Yeah, first off, the game is a hypothetical, as if the Axis won World War II and they split America into Japan and Germany, but it's really Germany running everything. So already you're mad about something as if the Germans beat us in World War II. So that, to me, when I found out people were actually mad about that, I was stunned at the stupidity of citizens.
I do have one question, though.
Yes.
Because I remember when that happened. I remember you and I were talking about it when it happened. Were people really mad, or were
they were mad.
Were there people saying that they were mad?
No, they were saying that it's justifying violence against people that have Nazi views, which that was at the time where Nazis were getting punched in the street, whatever.
Kill some Nazis.
I'm sorry, but again, there's giant Nazi robots in this game, and you're getting mad about.
You're allowed to kill. No, you know, Nazis. You're always allowed to kill Nazis.
If Indiana Jones can punch a Nazi, then we should be allowed to kill them in video games. I'm not saying anything in real life. I'm saying it's a video game. Get the fuck over it. So the next one's I
like how you dropped your voice to show like this is serious.
This is serious. I'm just. Imagine getting mad about the content of a video game, like offended.
To be fair, people are always getting offended by video games.
But I mean, getting offended by something that is completely fictional. I just don't understand.
Go kill some Nazis in video games.
Get a video game and kill some Nazis.
Wait,
it's good for your health.
I'm sorry.
Kill some Nazis. The other ones, the big ones that were announced were Dying Light 2. Did you play the first Dying Light?
I never heard of Dying Light.
It was kind of like Dead Island, except it incorporated parkour. Like, you got to scale walls. It was a lot of fun.
Oh, is it kind of like Mirror's Edge? Did you ever play Mirror's Edge?
Yeah, it was a mix of Mirror's Edge and Dead Island. So zombies running. You can't go out at night because there's a different type out there. It's a really, really fun game. I've been waiting for a sequel. The big one, The Last of Us 2, is the really, really big one.
I know, that's the big one.
That's the first Last of Us was probably PS3's greatest game. Next to, well, as far as exclusive, it's probably PS3's greatest game they've made.
You also have shit, I can't remember. Bethesda.
Yes.
How do you say?
Bethesda. Yeah.
They announced the new Fallout, which I like Fallout, but
I don't like the idea of not that I play Fallout, but the idea that you have to play online. On the new one, I don't like roping people in that they have to play online.
I do trust that studio. Like, there's a few studios where, like, I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt.
I'm completely with you.
They're making a new space game, I think, which I'm excited for.
They're making a Star Wars Fallen Order. It's a full-up, straight-up story mode where you play as a Jedi after the events of Revenge of the Sith.
No, but aren't they making a completely new title that's like not based in anything existing called like Starfleet or something?
They're apparently making all kinds of Star. This is the first one they announced, but there was no footage, I guess. The one that I just showed you when you were coming in is that they made a World War Z game.
I'm excited for that.
Which I love the book. The movie's okay.
The book is really good.
The book is great. The movie, I thought it was going to be a lot worse, and there were some really cool things in the movie.
Isn't it weird that Mel Brooks' son wrote the book?
Max Brooks, I know, and he also did the complete guide for surviving the zombie apocalypse. Yeah. And what I like about seeing this World War Z game is if you ever played Left 4 Dead on the Xbox 360, I think we played at Greg's house,
we
right?
played it both times.
It looks like a third-person Left 4 Dead. Like, it has to use teamwork. It's a 4-player co-op. There's a story mode, and it takes place. It's literally a third-person Left 4 Dead, and I've been waiting for Left 4 Dead since Left 4 Dead 2, and that was 2008 that came out.
Left 4 Dead 4.
Technically be 3. Valve has been teasing it forever, and it never came out.
I have no idea why I just said that. You clearly said the last game was Left 4 Dead.
Yeah, I don't know where you came before you skipped 3.
I just had my brain just stopped working
when Troll 2 came out, but there was no Troll 1.
Zombie 3
yeah, exactly. Or Zombie 2. Yeah,
Zombie 3 is Zombie 1 and sometimes 2.
Now, the one that I'm most excited about is the Resident Evil 2 remake. I've been waiting for this for a very, very long time. I know how much.
You have talked about this ad nauseum.
Well, because the original Resident Evil came out in 1990. The PlayStation
98.
No,
99.
No, because 1998 was Resident Evil 2.
Oh, that's what I thought you were talking about.
The original Resident Evil, I want to say, came out in 96, because that was around the time of the first PlayStation. It was one of the first titles on the original PlayStation. And that game was incredible, and they had remade that on the GameCube. back in 2002, and they remastered it, and then they remastered it again for the PlayStation 4, and it was a free download 1 month, and it played great. It looked nice, but again, it had that the over the top camera angle where they keep you in one spot,
the pre-rendered background.
Yeah, exactly. So this one, it's literally they completely remade it while staying true to the story, but now it is an over-the-shoulder shooter, third person, which is what Resident Evil 4 was, Resident Evil 5.
That's the Resident Evil 4.
Biohazard was the only one that was a first-person shooter. It's back in Raccoon City.
Biohazard was a first person?
Yeah, Biohazard was entirely first person.
The one with the thing that chases you around?
Yeah, the Biohazard was first person, dude.
Really?
It was the first true Resident Evil story mode game that was
I trust
because it was
you.
Technically Resident Evil 7.
I trust you. Oh no. I'm sorry. I'm thinking of the one with Nemesis. That's the one I'm thinking
That's 3, yeah.
Yeah, that's 3. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm confused.
So Resident Evil 2 came out in 1998. Resident Evil 3 came out in 1999.
That's the one
Nemesis,
I really like.
Yeah, Nemesis was great. Now the thing that was cool about 2 is that there were 2 discs, and one character you got to play as Leon Kennedy, and the other one you got to play as Claire Redfield. And they were the same. They were similar stories, but taking place in different parts of Raccoon City. I'm going to be really interested to see how they incorporate that with the remake because of how good it looks and the thing that you kind of lose when you don't do the stuck camera. There was this great scene in the beginning of Resident Evil 2 where they show the camera like both looking outside the building and inside, and you start seeing those lickers, the creatures that climb, and then you know it's coming and it still scares you. That's gone now, but what they did was the lighting specifically, and all you have is a flashlight in this dark room, and things are just coming busting through the windows, and when you shoot the zombies, you actually see the flesh come off, so you know how much damage you've done.
I'd be excited for this because I'm not. I like Resident Evil. I'm not like you who like.
I grew up on it, man. When I was talking to Jared about it yesterday. On weekends, we would me, him, and Spooner would play Resident Evil for 15, 16 hours straight until we beat the game. We would take turns playing it. Same thing with another underrated title was Dino Crisis. Do you remember Dino Crisis from the creators of Resident Evil?
No.
That was a fun game. It was like more of a horror Jurassic Park, but you were living it out more. That was actually a very, very fun game.
I haven't heard of Dino Crisis.
No, dude, Dino Crisis was pretty popular when it came out. That and Parasite Eve. Remember
I remember Parasite Eve.
Parasite Eve was fucking
Parasite
hard.
Eve. Actually, I played Parasite Eve.
What are some games?
I'll tell you. Wait. I'll tell you the one thing from E3 that I'm excited for.
What's that?
They only announced it very briefly, very, very briefly. Elder Scrolls 6.
Yes, I saw that. I know that's one people are very, very.
The way you love
people spend a lot of time.
The way you love Resident Evil, I love those games. I still play.
Hey,
Skyrim.
I'm in the minority of all my friends. I'm like one of the 3 or 4 that doesn't touch those games at all.
They are.
I just don't have the patience personally.
They're so good, and the big thing is because the way they do with the Elder Scrolls is they have this big land, and each one they have different countries in them.
Yeah,
and
massive maps.
Massive, huge maps, and each one only takes place in one country in this big world. So they've done Skyrim, which was like the Nordic world. They did Morrowind, which is kind of like this like dark fantasy, which it's cool. It's very like a lot of bugs. It kind of reminds me of Jeff Goldblum's The Fly. So the big question is,
he just said the other day he's open to a sequel if Cronenberg wanted to do it. Yes, I know. Please, Goldblum, do another Fly.
So I'm curious. Which are they going to go to the lizard land? Are they going to go to the cat person land?
I guess with that game and that world, there's so many options and so many things you can do. I'm really in the minority there. That I tried playing. I tried playing Oblivion, I believe it was.
Oblivion. I don't want to say it stinks, but it is the weakest of all.
I think it was Oblivion. But you got to understand. I tried playing Fallout. I didn't like Fallout.
Yeah, just won't. It's not for you.
I like if they remastered Knights of the Old Republic, I would play Knights of the Old Republic again. I love the Fable games.
Hey, we need to pause real quick. I'm getting a call.
Okay,
we're gonna
sorry
about that.
Quick.
Oh, I feel much better.
How was your phone call, Ralph?
Oh, it was great.
Yeah? Are you in trouble, or do people just not know where you are?
People just don't know where I am. It's the first time anyone's ever been looking for me.
Oh, the other game that looked cool is that new Spider-Man game coming out. Looks fantastic.
I didn't even know there was a new Spider-Man game.
Dude, it looks awesome. That's like they need to release like a good Marvel. When's the last time they released a good Marvel game? Like I actually like those.
They had that one.
The Ultimate Alliance.
Yeah,
games.
those were fun.
So here, actually, some news. I just saw this yesterday. They just filmed the final episode after 27 seasons of Jerry Springer.
I read that last night. Why?
Jerry Springer is coming to an end.
I love
Honestly,
Jerry Springer.
as far as culturally important shows, I don't know if there's a more important show than Jerry Springer in
Shut
the last.
up.
No, but I'm not kidding you. That brought the shock. That was Shock TV.
I get what
Shock
you're
TV was a
what you're
thing.
trying to do.
I'm not trying to do anything. It's a fact.
Yeah.
Do you know what the ratings are still like for Jerry Springer?
They're still great, but I'm not putting culturally important shows. The Simpsons, Lost, The Wire. I'm not putting Jerry Springer.
Why not? Why would you not put Jerry Springer? Wasn't that what was daytime talk TV? And when it became a shock thing, is that not still a thing? Was that not the precursor to what reality TV is now? Was Jerry Springer 100%?
No.
Yes, it did. It absolutely kickstarted it.
No, I see the correlation. I think you would still have reality TV without him.
I don't think you would have the same type of reality TV.
When I think of reality, I think of the Osbournes. I think of like the reality, like Lost, those kind of things. I put them in there.
Lost? You mean Survivor?
Survivor. Sorry.
Reality game show.
Yeah, but like I think those are big.
But you can't even argue that even just the talk shows from Maury. How huge is Maury?
I could say influence, but I don't think it's essential. Maury
Celebrity Deathmatch was an offshoot of Jerry Springer.
When's the last time anyone talked about Celebrity Deathmatch?
But I'm saying, how huge was it when it came out?
It was huge for like 2 years.
Here's another one. It completely brought Howard Stern to television on the mainstream. It was all because of Jerry Springer being popular. It changed the way It changed the way WWE did TV.
Oh, there we go. It had to have a wrestling component. I was wondering where you're going.
Okay? It has to have a wrestling component because at the time when it became the Attitude Era, was totally inspired by Jerry Springer and Howard Stern.
Jerry Springer in the top echelon of, what did you say, the most influential show ever?
Television, one of the most influential television shows of all time. You don't have to like it.
Yes, I'm not putting it at one of the most influential.
Yes, it has, but it has to be. Name me 5 more in the last 30 years.
I just gave you a.
You gave me The Simpsons. Go ahead.
Okay, The Simpsons. I think The Wire, because I think The Wire, even though it wasn't popular.
I said culturally important.
I'm telling you right now, I think
Sopranos
The Wire
is more important than The Wire.
Sopranos, okay.
You can take one or the other.
I didn't prep for this, so I'm putting both.
Yeah, exactly. You don't have an argument when on a whim.
You're right. Jerry Springer is the greatest show ever.
But the most popular component on television is reality TV. I don't like reality TV.
I put Survivor ahead of it.
Survivor for game shows, I would agree. But again,
I think Survivor also was very influential.
Would there be a Survivor without something like Jerry Springer and the shock value TV?
I think so.
You think so, but we don't know because Jerry Springer became it was a ratings juggernaut. It was a daytime talk show that was doing ratings like primetime television. You know how if you look at the
Oprah, I put Oprah ahead of him. If we were doing talk shows, I think Oprah's much more.
I said shock value TV specifically. Shock value.
Oh wait,
TV.
we need to. Okay, in shock value, yeah. Okay, I put a top 5 when it comes to shock value TV.
But isn't that what reality? Jersey Shore is complete shock value reality TV. Kardashian shock value reality TV. The Maury Show, the Steve Wilkos Show, all of them were responsible. Sally Jesse Raphael, that big dumb bitch. What's her name? The one that passed out on TV a few months ago. I forgot her name. One of them. But no, I mean, I haven't watched Jerry Springer in years, but he had his own channel. He had his own pay-per-view network.
I get it.
Hey, if there's no Jerry Springer, there's no Girls Gone Wild. Think about it like that too.
Right.
It has. Listen.
Yes, I get it. He's influential for trashy white trash television.
How many seasons is The Simpsons in now?
35.
This is 27 seasons of a show. Think about that.
Gunsmoke went 28. When's the last time you saw someone talk about Gunsmoke?
Another influential show.
Bonanza.
You have to put Jerry Springer in that conversation, no matter what you think about it. It has to be. It has to be.
Why?
Tell me how many shows went over 25 seasons and were still at the top of their game. I know it sounds crazy. He had a movie, for Christ's sake. There was a Jerry Springer movie. I know he was in the Austin Powers movies, for Christ's sake, dude. I know it's weird to think about. I didn't think about this until I saw that it was ending, and I'm like, 27 fucking seasons.
I understand. I think it's an American. I think it's a pop culture.
It's an American staple.
It's an American staple.
It's a tent pole.
I think it's something everyone should watch. I think it's interesting. I think it's bizarre. But as for just one of the top influential shows of all time, I think that's a stretch.
I just don't know, because I really don't think there's this weird reality TV obsession, because people were obsessed with Jerry Springer like they are the Kardashians, like they were the Osbournes, like they are Real Housewives. that's kind of where it all started. There was only talk shows for these people beforehand until he pulled back the layers, no matter how real or fake it was.
And here's the thing. I think everyone went that way for a while. Maury and
Maury still does it.
And all them.
I'm afraid of pickles. Maury's the best with those.
You're afraid.
You know, speaking
You're
of...
afraid of mustard. Guess what we have? A 5-gallon tub.
No, the best was the woman that was afraid of cotton balls.
The cotton ball monster.
He looked like the Michelin Man. One of my
Can we just one show? We just watch Maury.
One of my favorite episodes of the... Did you ever actually watch the Steve Wilkos show?
I'm sure I have.
So there was an episode. There was some guy on who the episode was called "The Kiss of Death," and this guy had AIDS, and what he wanted to do, because someone gave him AIDS without telling him, was he was on there saying that he wanted to give AIDS to as many people as possible. And what
that's a felony, by the way.
I know. Well, that's the thing. He brought cops on eventually. But what Steve would do is like he'd get these people who were like domestic abusers and child abusers, and they'd have chairs like stand up. He goes, "You can't sit on my show," and he'd throw the chair across the stage. He brings out this guy's boyfriend, the guy that's giving people AIDS, and like he's trying to make them make out on stage. Wilkos was the trashiest show I've ever seen in my life. It was fantastic.
You're right. Jerry Springer really is influential with gems like that.
Hey, if there's no Jerry Springer, I don't know how relevant TMZ is, because TMZ was one of the people he leaked to.
You know what? If you have to take away Jerry Springer but TMZ goes away, I'm fine with it.
I'm with you there too. So I actually just mentioned we were saying like it's a stable. Before we go into our picks, this is really quick because and I said that
you keep saying stable. It's staple,
whatever. I know. I'm saying staple, but I'm not saying stable. Like in my head, I'm saying.
You just said stable.
I know. I'm doing it as I see myself out of body.
Because your brain's broken.
It's been broken for a long time. But I said it's a tent pole of American television. And I was thinking the other night I was hanging out with Bob and Quaz. And Quaz like was asking about like certain music, and System of a Down came on, and he like never listened to System of a Down, and I'm like, that to me was so weird, because then I was saying Toxicity is that's a tent pole album for me. Toxicity, when it comes to albums I've listened to the most in my life, and I was listening to it again the other night. This is absurdly good still.
It's aged well.
It's definitely their best album, I think, without question.
I agree.
I didn't like Steal This Album. I didn't love Mesmerize and Hypnotize.
I like Mesmerize and Hypnotize.
I liked Hypnotize more than Mesmerize.
I forget which one's which because they came out so.
Mesmerize had Cigarro on it, and the other one had the song Hypnotize on it.
Which one had BYOB?
BYOB was on Steal This Album. Bring Your Own Bomb was on.
No, I'm pretty sure.
No, BYOB was on Steal This Album. Wait, maybe not. I don't know. I haven't listened to BYOB in forever. Yeah, double check that.
Yeah.
But I was trying to think of like other albums that were just like important. Like I can listen to them anytime.
Mesmerize.
It was on Mesmerize?
Mesmerize is the one I like.
Okay. Yeah, I liked Hypnotize more, but I haven't listened to either of those in a while. I like Illmatic was on there for me, like an album I'll always listen to. I made them listen to it. They never heard it.
So we're talking about like albums that are like not our favorite albums, but albums that are important to us.
Yeah, like it's an album you could put on any time and listen to it the whole way through. Just like give me like one or two. I got Toxicity and Illmatic.
Okay. I'll go. I'm not gonna go with any ones I gave you. Like Agalloch would be on there, but we already know how I feel about that.
Correct.
I'd put Blue by Baroness on there. I'd put Dookie by Green Day.
Yeah, I'd put that on mine probably.
My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy by Kanye.
Yeah, like now that I'm thinking about it more, I'd have to put Slipknot's debut album on there for me. Honestly, I would put Incubus Science on there probably. Start to finish is incredible.
I'd put a Metallica album on. The problem is I don't know which one I'd put on, and I don't want to put all.
I'd probably put Injustice for All personally.
Injustice for All
or Ride the Lightning's really good too.
I think I just put Master. Honestly, I know that's a hack answer, but I think I put Master on there.
No, that's a really good one too.
I'd put a few a Blitz and Trapper album on there. I know I've talked to you about them. You know how much I like them. But Dookie, I think as far as like albums I grew up with, I'd put Dookie on there. I'd
have to put Dookie on there for sure.
I'd put 4 by Zeppelin on there.
That's a good one. We don't want to get into too much Zeppelin stuff.
Yeah.
So now that we're I want to go into our picks for this coming week. So I made for you, I made a list because movies you kind of have to you with music you can kind of get the idea if I haven't listened to it. So I made a list to know if you like saw something. There's something I wanted to ask you before I gave you my pick.
What?
What's a genre that like you're feeling right now, like when you enjoy watching it, or one that you feel like you want to watch more of? Because that might influence my decision here. I think I know what I'm going to pick, but if you're looking for something that's like dramatic action.
You know what it's not really a genre. Maybe I'm getting a little too specific, but you know what I'm kind of in the mood for? A good, like...
Don't say anime.
Anime. Oh!
Yeah, just porn.
I'll tell you this.
You watch IFAP.
There we go. Every show we'd have a stupid variation of the show. The good anime movie? You're gonna make fun of me? But real quick, I want to...
Go ahead. Before, just tell me what kind of movie first.
Spirited Away is a good anime movie.
Yes, sure. So what kind of...
I want like a detective movie. Like an investigation movie.
All right. This is... Okay, that's actually the one I kind of was leaning towards. It's not necessarily an investigation movie, but there is a level of... sneaking around, kind of. I'm gonna give you Gran Torino with Clint Eastwood.
Oh, okay.
So this movie, man, it's Josh never saw it either, and Josh is like a big Clint fan, and we made him watch it.
I know enough about Gran Torino that I have a back.
If you haven't seen Gran Torino, there's some real old school like racism in it from Clint, but it's watching his character like evolve throughout the movie. I love it. I think it's one of Clint's last great movies. I think you'll like that quite a bit. So Gran Torino. If you haven't seen it, it's a really, really good one. It's definitely like a guy flick for sure. There's some really badass shit in it, and Clint's the fucking man. Like, you can't really go wrong with Clint Eastwood. Not that all his movies are great, but he's a great director, and he's been in some.
He's a really good director.
I mean, there's been some that I didn't care for, but like recently, I liked it. As much as I thought Chris Kyle was full of shit, American Sniper was a good movie. And he directed that.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you for your service. All right, so what album do you have for me, Ralph?
Okay, so I actually had like 5. I throughout this
I'm only
week,
listening to one.
Yeah, I'm not giving you a 5. I couldn't decide, and then while I was driving over here, I actually changed
You had a revelation.
I just put it on randomly. I'm giving you a rap album.
Oh, finally. What is it?
So here's the thing with the album. It's been listed both as a solo album and a group album. The group is Cunnilinguists. Yes, that's their name. I know you're... but the guy's name is No. K-N-O.
Was it?
K-N-O. So I don't know if it's a solo album or group album. It sounds like a group album, if you ask me.
When did the album come out?
2009, 2008, around there.
Okay. I've heard of them before. Maybe I've heard some stuff, but
the album's called Death is Silent.
Oh, that's the name of it.
No is the guy.
It's called Death is
Silent.
Death is Silent. How would you describe it? Is there anything you can compare it to?
It's got a lot of old school hip hop in it, but it's also got it's got a lot of weird production elements in it. Like, you'll have a medieval like flute in it. And
that's awesome.
Sometimes it borders on corny, but
gotcha.
Overall, it's a good album. I like it.
Cool.
It's unique. It's unique, and driving over here, I'm like, I'm gonna give Dan this one.
Good. I've been waiting for you to give me some hip hop because you've given me. You've mixed it up fairly well. You gave me some just pure rock. You gave me some classic rock. You gave me some dog shit. You gave me some weird shit, and now you're giving me some actual rap. So
yeah, I thought I had one other album I was gonna give you, which is good, but it's just kind of
save
standard.
It for another.
It's standard. It's nothing special. So I said, I got a story I want to do.
All right. Well, you had a game too. You want to save the game for
I think we need a
Mantle's lucky I love him so much, and I also understand that he was working 12 hours, and he's a fucking sandhog, which I could never fathom doing.
He literally is a sandhog. He rolls around.
That's all he does. He just men throw money at him. He just rolls around in the sand, opens his asshole. He's gonna say,
"Oink, piggy." Oink. Can just picture Manfro with his beard all covered in sand going oink, oink, oink.
Oh my god. So what's the story you got? We'll save the game for another day.
Last night I'm falling asleep. And
I wish you didn't wake up.
I get, you know when we'll have Google search and it says trending topics?
Yes.
And all it says is rabid bobcat.
Was this the woman that killed the bobcat?
She strangled the bobcat.
Yeah, dude, I saw that shit. Actually, Joe Rogan was talking about it.
This old lady in, I assume Florida? Oh, Georgia. Okay, might as well be Florida.
What's the difference, yeah?
was in her parking lot taking a picture of a bumper sticker. So you have to know that it had to be a Trump bumper sticker. It had to be.
Probably
taking a picture.
Yeah, exactly.
And a bobcat snuck on her. So the thing scratch at her. It's rabid. It's biting her.
Fuck you up.
This old lady, this fucking grandma, strangled the thing to death.
To dead. To dead. Boo. That's dude. Bobcats. Because we have them around. Here.
Bobcat, go away.
We have them around here. Bobcats. Though I saw one. There was one on the island section once. And it was literally right across from my mom's house. And like we were telling all the kids playing in the street, like, go inside. And my fucking now dead cat, Owen, asshole walks up and starts going up to it, and this bobcat just started swinging at him. I start picking up rocks. Like Owen just kind of like played dead. I'm picking up rocks to throw them, and I hit Owen the first time as he's playing dead, and then finally I hit the bobcat to scare it away. But he got all hacked to shit. I would much rather beat a bobcat than a mountain lion, though.
I'll tell you this. I think the scariest of all are coyotes. A group of coyotes.
You know what's crazy is I know we've always had them around here, but it was this past October. We were in Brooklyn, and we got back pretty late, and landlord went to sleep, and I was outside having a smoke, and I heard it sounded like sirens in the distance, and I was like, what the fuck is that noise?
It's the most unnerving.
And then it was like getting louder, so I was like, that's not sirens. So I look it up, and it's coyotes. And then a girl that went to our high school like a week later posted that she was outside having a cigarette, and 3 coyotes came out, and they chased her like into her house. They started like surrounding her. But the thing with coyote, you or I and most adults could take on one coyote.
It's
they're
the
small.
Fact that they're
you could just kick that
them.
motherfucker in the throat. Although apparently in American history,
only 2 people have ever
only
died.
2 people have
and
ever
one was
died.
a baby and one was a folk
People
musician.
get fucked up though. I mean, around here more so, we got to worry. Like actually today, I was just talking to people about how I haven't had a bear yet this year, and I woke up this morning and my recycling was all over the front.
Taylor.
So it was Micah. He's a bit rare. And I had a deer in my backyard this morning.
Wow, that's interesting. We're talking about coyotes and we go to deer.
They're so cute.
No,
unless they jump out in front of your car.
I hate deer. Tom Colicchio hit a bear with his car once. And the bear just shrugged and kept walking.
I actually did have something for you, and I was wishing Michael was here for this. So I had to get a passport for my trip coming up. And
where are you going again?
We're going to Montana, but we're going to be in Canada for part of it. And Pat, I know
that would have been great if you actually thought you needed to go to Montana.
No, I didn't think of getting one. And then when we saw Pat Larson, because he used to live in Montana, he's like, no, have your passport, because even if you're in the Canadian ground or water for 30 minutes, they'll fucking kick you out if you don't have a passport.
Are you a felon? I just assumed you were a felon.
Not that I know of. But so we had to go.
You're not a felon.
I haven't committed any crimes as an adult. As an adult, I haven't been convicted. I'll say.
I just always assumed you had a few like murders under your belt.
The landlord and I allegedly had to go get our passports, and they take your picture, and just like my license, they make me. They make me take my glasses off.
Oh no, I did not see this.
Look at my picture of my passport. I look like Muhammad Atta. I look like a Chechen warlord.
Why is your face slant? Do you have Bell's palsy?
I wish I did. It might explain a lot, but this is the best part. Listen to this.
Yeah, I'm listening.
So they take the picture, they take Caitlin's picture, and then she goes to the woman. Caitlin goes to the woman or the landlord. I just broke kayfabe.
Good one.
The landlord goes to the woman that took the pictures. Oh, how'd they come out? And she goes to her. Well, his came out much better than yours. And I'm like, it's a problem because I look like I have head lice. I look like I should not be allowed on a plane.
How did your beard? Where's that beard
go?
The woman, you don't have that much beard.
I know. Well, honestly, the woman was short, so she was taking the picture from probably like the camera was right by like aligned with my chest. So that's the only thing that would make sense.
A sex offender registry.
I might be. Actually, that's what that is.
Nothing on your face is symmetrical.
And I will post the picture on.
Look, you have a different your hair.
I know.
You have 2 hairstyles.
I know.
Oh, that's rough.
Dude, you're telling me. And then this is the next thing that comes up in my phone is the dildo chair from Burn After Reading. So my phone is an assortment of nonsense.
So you're going to need that passport for your trip to this great country of Montana.
Yeah, exactly. Well, because I'm going to be in Canada for part of it.
I
think that's fucking. I'm going to be in Canada for 30 minutes, and they're going to deport me. Like,
okay. I hope. I don't want to your destination.
It's gonna be great though if like we go and they actually check our passports and they say you don't look like that and they kick me out.
Good,
because that is a terrifying picture.
You're only like driving through, right? Or are you?
No. The part of the things one of the things we're going to visit goes into Canadian land.
Oh,
and, like, okay. It's like a hiking area, I believe. Honestly, I was half paying attention. I just knew I needed a passport, and there's a chance I may travel. I have like no interest in traveling out of the country. I know you're going to Thailand. Please stay. But outside of that, like the only other country I'd want to visit probably is like Italy. And
you're one of those.
I would like to see. I would like to see where my grandfather is from. So personally,
when my grandparents died, you know, my parents got very. So my parents got very interested in like their family history,
heritage.
And all that. Yeah, they, you know, I think that's kind of a thing that happens when you know you start to lose your parent. And so my dad's looking at it, and he found out that his family was in Tuscany. and I'll always remember this. He's sitting at the table. Me and my sister are eating dinner, and he rubs his face, takes his glasses off, and he looks out in the distance dramatically and goes, "One day, we're going home."
What? We're going to the motherland.
I distinctly remembering I was eating mashed potatoes and they came out my nose. I was laughing so hard.
There's this episode of The Sopranos where they go to Italy to meet with like the real bosses, and they bring the guy Paulie Walnuts with him, who's the one with the silver hair on his sides or the white hair, and they're all mocking him because he's like American Italian and not like them. He's like asking for spaghetti and meatballs. He's like, "What the hell is this shit?"
We're going home.
We're going home. Oh my goodness. All right, so we're about an hour and a half. Do you have anything else? What do you have for me?
I actually have a hot take, but it's a little bit of an advice.
Yeah, we got to do our hot take. I forgot. Shit, I have to think of one now. Go ahead.
So I wasn't allowed to do the Mets.
Well, yeah, you do them every week.
Hot take: the Mets have only won one game in June.
They're horrendous.
So I Googled some, and I remember this in the back of my mind. Apparently, there's a game called Extreme Baseball.
What?
Extreme Baseball has both teams hitting and pitching at the same time.
What?
Yeah. And it's...
Wait. What? Yeah. I don't understand. That's like in basketball when they say first they tried interleagues play, then they tried inter sports play, and it shows a guy in football gear swinging the bat, and then the outfielder getting tackled.
So apparently there's two... I'm trying to figure out how it works. There's not a lot of videos because the league apparently folded very quickly, surprisingly.
Yeah, no shit.
Apparently there's only there's two bases and the home plate. And apparently one team runs on this side of the diamond, like normally, and then they run the third base side, and then they meet at the second base side, and I'm watching videos of it. It's just a clusterfuck.
That doesn't make any... So that's your hot take? Is that this...
Well, wait. My hot take is, as stupid as this is, as idiotic as it is, at least they tried. We haven't had a new sport invented in a long time.
No, there's one happening right now, the World Cup. That's... There's my hot take. Fuck off with the World Cup, for the love of God. If you played soccer your whole life, I get it. That's fine. But even the people I know that like it, they have not said a fucking word with these early games happening.
The United States are in it.
No, but there are some people that are still talking about it, and I have no beef with you if you're a real soccer fan. But the people that are going to wait...
Is Alan into it?
Alan loves it. Like he's a commie, so of course he likes it. He's rooting for Russia the whole time. But like these people that I know that they posted how pumped they are, and I haven't seen them say a word about it. But when the finals come up, they're going to act like they've been watching it the whole time. Like, you know what it's the equivalent of? Because it's not hockey season right now, so I don't need to be in character. But when I say I'm a hockey expert and I watch the NHL,
expert.
Yeah, I'm a hockey expert.
You're a lifelong
Lightning King, Capital Penguins. I'm a fan of whoever beats the Rangers and makes it to the finals. But it's I love how angry... Can we stop acting like soccer is ever going to be big here ever?
I've learned one. You are entirely right, but I do love when there's something that you're not a fan of, you automatically reject it.
Yes, I will reject the notion.
You're like, I'm not a basketball fan. Basketball's boring.
Well, this is how I see it. If I don't like something, I look at it like I don't have any food allergies, but I treat it like a food allergy. Like I can't have peanuts. Don't bring me anywhere near that. I'm gonna get hives.
I might learn something.
I've tried watching soccer because Jared is one of the people that's a big soccer fan.
It's tough.
I went there one year when he was watching the World Cup, and I'm sitting there like, okay, and I hear that NBA players flop, and I'm watching these soccer players who are these they're amazingly conditioned
They have that magic
athletes.
ice spray.
Yeah, I don't get the game, and it's one of the same reasons I can't really keep up with hockey because I don't know all the rules, but I love hockey live. But like the other problem with soccer is we don't have a good team in America, and we're going to be hosting it in 8 years.
They did that so they get the bid automatically.
And the final is going to be at MetLife.
You want to go?
I might, if I'm still with my company, which again you can get $10 off at selectaticket.com using promo code DanP on tickets to any event.
And that's PEE. No, that's what he does.
Dan P. That's not that.
What a horrible joke that was.
Terrible.
It wasn't can you like pee your pants.
Can you put car crash noises on your own joke? Yeah, exactly. We have to get a soundboard.
Oh, can you imagine us with a soundboard?
We just the whole time. It's always sunny great? When they try to podcast.
Isn't this great? Hey, isn't this great?
Be more funny. So again, my hot take is that the World Cup is a farce.
I think we need to invent new sports. I think we need
yeah,
to take
you need to. Why?
Make something extreme.
Legitimately, I want to know why no one has actually tried making a league out of basketball. Because picture you able to get drunk and the psych outs you can do. You put that shit on like Comedy Central where you can have curses with the psych outs.
Basketball trampoline thing for a while.
Well, Ice Cube's trying the Big Three, but it's just another incarnation. Like I would love to see someone actually try a basketball league.
You know what?
I
think I got
rollerball.
I got a bit.
What? Do the bit.
We're gonna invent a new sport.
Oh, okay. I'm in. I like it. We got to figure out a sport.
We'll make a new sport. We'll take suggestions, and then we'll actually play it one day, and we'll film us playing our new sport.
Yes, I think that's a great idea.
All right.
Actually, soon I'm going to coordinate this summer. We're going to have a big kickball game.
Tournament?
We're going to get drunk and play kickball. So if you guys have any questions, comments, suggestions, if you want to be a guest on the show, at youwatchilisten.com at the bottom, there is a suggestion thing where you can email us and or you can message us on Facebook, Twitter. I want to give a shout out to all the podcasts that have been crazy supportive on. You haven't seen a lot on Twitter, but these fellow podcasts who I'm sorry I don't remember your name right now, but crazy support. We went from 200 followers in 3 weeks to over 1,300 now in just a matter of weeks. And it's a really, really supportive community, so I really appreciate it.
The podcast community is surprisingly how helpful they are, because I do, the way it works is Dan does all the external stuff, and I do the internal, like I clean up the audio and all that, because he's better at that, and I really enjoy doing, the sound.
Exactly.
Kind of like the engineering.
I do all the graphic design stuff.
And I'm in a few podcast groups just asking for suggestions.
They're great.
Always, and they really are helpful. There's not a lot of there's competitiveness in anything. There's rivalries, but they genuinely want to help you. It's a great community.
No, it's and I've listened to a bunch of them. I've listened to at least parts of most of the ones that have been crazy supportive. We've got a ton of great feedback. So again, if there's any suggestions, questions, comments, please on Twitter, Facebook, youwatchilisten.com. This is episode 8. Again, our recommendations. I gave you Gran Torino, and you gave me
Cunnilingus
you're giving me Cunnilingus after this. So
Dan
P-E-E. So this was episode 8. You Watch, I Listen. Again, listen, share, subscribe.
Go Russia.
Later. Go Mets.